All right. So, welcome to the inaugural episode of the Gettin Dirty podcast.
We're glad you're here with us.
Cheers, dude.
Cheers, my man.
And I
So
am going to
you and I
give you
in
shit for
2000,
not drinking a beer with me on this first episode.
you and I took a trip to Paris and Amsterdam in 2015, and that was the first time you'd ever left the US. Is that right?
That is true, and that's where we received the powerful mantra of "Get dirty, boys." Right?
What I remember is being on the plane, and after we had landed in Paris, there was a guy who was in front of us, and somehow he just started making small talk. And he was prying about what we were doing. And we basically just said, we're in Europe for a few weeks. We're going to Paris, we're going to Amsterdam, and we don't have any plans. And he just had the biggest grin. His wife and his young child were there. And he just kept saying, "Get dirty, boys. Just get dirty." And it became in many ways the mantra that we've reflected on throughout our friendship. And I think that there's a lot in that. What does it mean for a guy to get dirty? And why did he seem so joyful when he was saying it?
So I think once he heard the magic word of Amsterdam, that's when his face lit up, and you could tell there were some past memories that were probably triggered, and uh, I'm sure there are good memories he didn't want to go into with the audience of his family there in that moment, but we could guess he probably had a good time in Amsterdam back in the day, and that was like the perfect way to start that adventure together. Just a guy's trip.
There was always a pause I noticed. Anthony Bourdain talked about it. And he said that, when people would say, "Where are you going?" and you say Amsterdam, there's kind of a pause. And then there's usually a grin. And so there's this sort of unspoken, connection of, "Oh, you're going to Amsterdam." And then there's a whole list of like what that entails. But what I got from this guy was, here he was married, a father. His life was very different than, two young guys who had ultimate freedom to just go and wander and to basically not have any sort of a boundary to abide by.
Yeah, I think that had been a kind of a magical pilgrimage for him in the past, and he was channeling that in that moment, and it was just a really cool way to start our trip and start our adventure together. So yeah, that was a little over 10 years ago, and you and I have both done a lot of big trips since then, but that one for me definitely lives in the memory banks, even though I don't think we got nearly as dirty as that guy did probably when he was in Amsterdam. But it's a little bit, the place is symbolic of, I think, where you can go to kind of let loose of the just shackles of the normal constraints and norms of society and the day to day. So there's like, and that's what it is in Europe for a lot of people in the summer. I haven't been back there since you and I went there. I don't know if you've been there or not, but
Las Vegas has kind of it's like there's certain parts of the world, red light districts, and Amsterdam's one, Las Vegas is one. And it's like they've become playgrounds for people who are in the grind. They're married, they're in careers, their lives are just heavily stressed out. And it's like they need a place where they can just go and let the banshees out to just kind of run wild for a bit. And there's certain cities around the world that have kind of made themselves available for that. And it's something I noticed from a lot of my friends, who are married and have families. They don't have the kind of freedom to just go off and travel or to just go off and have these adventures. But it's like, what do you do when those energies are inside of you? When you're in a grind and you're working and you're feeling stuck in your life. Why do you want to go to a place like Amsterdam or Las Vegas? What is your soul asking of you?
Everybody needs that release valve to let out a little bit of pressure from time to time. I think so in US society, we make very little space for that. And most Europeans I know, and a lot of South Americans, they take a month off every summer, and a lot of them just travel and have new experiences. And I think that's really important for staying balanced.
Our culture seems to have an addiction to work, and we seem to kind of place a lot of value in what people do. It's like what your role is what defines you. And I've been guilty of that myself, of seeing myself through what I do. And I think that it's created a lot of unhealthy patterns in our culture. And when you have unhealthy patterns that don't get healed or they don't get acknowledged, over time they build up. And then places like Las Vegas and Amsterdam become, these refuges where you sort of have to go and purge everything out of you. It's like a vomit of your soul. And, it can lead to excessive behavior, but it can also just lead to things that you need, to just have some time to drink too much or to just be off the routine.
And it reminds me also, I know you and I have both read a lot of Castaneda, but pretty sure it's in the first book where he kind of drills into his head quite a few times that you really need a break from your routine. So you need to free yourself of your routine, not be a slave to that routine. And, that doesn't have to be permanent. The routines can be good too. But yeah, it's important to have that space and, experience a different rhythm of reality, at least from time to time.
I think that you can only stay disciplined and on point for so long, and then eventually you need that time to just be untethered. And I think that that's a lot of folks that I interact with in my everyday life or who I know, especially since COVID. There seems to be this like almost like collective PTSD that people are in. And it's like they don't have much to look forward to, or they just feel that their lives are too full with work and things that don't make them happy. And a lot of folks I know just don't really know how to change it. It's like they've kind of become comfortable in this routine, and they've developed almost a mindset that this is all there is.
Yeah, the routine can almost become an escape of its own, an escape from like the magic of life and some of these other realities that one can experience where, yeah, it's easier to just put your nose to the grindstone and chug along. And, you tell yourself that yeah, maybe that's discipline. Discipline is a good thing, but at what point are you maybe missing out on some other experiences that are your birthright when you come into this life? I think is something people should think about.